Hey, Ken Alwyn, how you doing? I saw your message out there. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody else that's joining the room. We're going to be starting shortly. Just a lot of people logging in, and so we will we're a little bit delayed, but there's just so many people logging on this morning. Hope you all had a great weekend.
Thanks, Todd. Let's give it about 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. Thanks, everyone, for your patience. All right, Todd, I think we should get going.
Terrific. Let's do this.
I'll turn it over to you. Take it away. Thanks.
All right. Hey, thank you, Jennifer Carter at the Minnesota State Bar Association, and thank you to the Minnesota State Bar Association, Hennepin County Bar Association, and Ramsey County Bar Association for allowing me to do this great event. Hopefully it's a great event. We'll find out after about an hour whether it was great to you or not. But thank you all for joining this morning. I am Todd Scott. I am the Vice President of Risk Management at Minnesota Lawyers Mutual Insurance Company. And today I'm going to speak on 29 tech tips for practicing law from home. Just a quick background before we get going. I'm going to try to talk super fast because there are just so many of you out there this morning for a Monday morning CLE. Very exciting. And so we waited a little while longer to get everybody in the door. Some of you may still be arriving, but this program started because in late March, when we realized COVID, at Minnesota Lawyers Mutual, where I'm from, we realized that COVID was going to likely send most of us, at least at our company, working from home. We also realized there's going to be a whole lot of lawyers that have to work from home too as well. We started a series at that time called Change and Plan. And we focused right away on how to work from home with a home law office, got a lot of experts in and did an online webcast like this. And then we did a series of webcasts too and addressed a whole lot of other things about security while working from home, electronic documents while working from home, and e-signatures and all this kind of stuff, and more specific topics too, tracking timing and expense tracking from home as well. And so we put all that together because there were so many questions were happening. And then of course, there were ethics considerations as well that we always wanted to let you know about. Took some of the best of all of those programs and put them into this little program here. I chose 29 because I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to get through all 29 of these. So I had to whittle them down, but occasionally you might get an extra one or two that goes in there as well. Like I said, I've got to talk fast, so I better get going. Thank you for joining us. By the way, there is my address, and if you want to get a hold of me, I welcome you to stay in touch with me at linkedin.com. I am the VP of Risk Management at Minnesota Lawyers Mutual. You can get a hold of me for this PowerPoint or for anything else at tscott@mlmins.com. And also, last thing, there is a chat bar that is in the Zoom session that you're in right now. Feel free to enter a question at any time. There's a whole lot of stuff here and there's a whole lot of you out there. So I'll have to take a look, and I'll try to pause intermittently, take a look and see if there's any questions that are we can get to while I'm still moving along, trying to get all 29 tips in. But feel free to do that and send them in. And okay, so let's get her going here too. I want to talk about 4 basic categories. So working from home office, some of the first questions that started to arrive was, how can I make sure that my communications stays top notch when I am trying to work from home, but work with my colleagues, work with opposing counsel, work with my clients, and make sure that we're keeping in touch. And especially because there's been so much news and information about whether some of these products like Zoom are considered safe and secure. So we're going to talk about that right away. I've got a lot of tips in there for you as well. Connectivity, very, very important as well. So if you're like me, you came home, but so did other people. Maybe you've got college students, other people that are in the house, and you're trying to do your work. You've got so much bandwidth coming to the house, and somebody's down the hall watching Netflix. So how are we going to make sure that you've got the right amount of bandwidth and connectivity, and especially how do you know whether you're getting what you paid for? So I've got some tips in there for you as well. And then I've got this list, and to be honest, I'm not really a gadget kind of guy. One of the reasons why I've really avoid getting too much into gadgets is if I did that, I'd be talking about gadgets all the time. I'm more of an ethics practice management advisor. But this is, well, and also every time you talk about gadgets and make recommendations, 6 months later, there's something better that comes along. But this is, I thought it was very important to give you a list. There might be some critical areas of your home office that you're still looking for some tools that are going to help you get where you need to go. And so I've got a list in there that's considered some of the best products out there. At least it'll give you an idea of what should be on your list for your home office. Might help you fill some of the holes to kind of make things work a little bit better for you at home too. And then of course, what would be a program like this if we didn't have productivity tools and apps, you know, just a lot of different suggestions of software that's been working really, really well. Thank you, Amy Halloran. I just saw that you linked in with me while we're doing this too. So you're working real fast. That's great. So anyway, productivity tools and apps that are going to come in. I'll just get to those. And I've got a lot of things that have helped me get through this time when I was sent to work from home for the first time as well. So they got things popping up everywhere. Here we go. Okay, so let's get going here too. Like I said, I wanted to start with communication. This concerned us, and I think it concerned a lot of you, because here's what happened. So many lawyers, when they started to work from home, they immediately knew that they needed an audio-visual tool, something that was going to help them communicate. And Zoom was widely considered the best among lawyers. Why? Because it's pretty stable. The image and sound quality is pretty clear. I don't have to have the top most Wi-Fi connection in order for you to hear all of my words right now and to get a steady image of me. I'm not locking up in your screen, hopefully, and things like that. So it works pretty good. But then everybody became concerned about security issues. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But so the question was, did I choose the right audio-visual tool, communication tool, in order to stay in touch with my clients and co-counsel? So let's talk about those. There are a bunch of them that are out there, and there is actually 1 or 2 that are specifically made for lawyers. I'll get to that in just a second. But the 2 most popular ones were Zoom, like I just mentioned, and Microsoft Teams. They are kind of popular for different reasons. There's a lot of other good ones out there. Some of them that you see in this list right now, some are really good, but they're costly. And some are good, but they're kind of made for more for a top level business enterprise team and things like that too. So for Zoom and Microsoft Teams kind of became the two that are probably the most widely used by lawyers as well. Like I said, Zoom was very popular. Another reason why it was very popular was not only was it stable, but it was really easy to use. If I'm going to connect with you, I'm your attorney, and I'm going to want to set up a Zoom session with you, I would just send you a link, and you didn't need to have a special app in order to just click on it and log in that day too. In some ways it was a bit too easy because that also meant that some essential security features that are within the program weren't working by default. And so thus we had this problem called Zoom bombing, where we could have a meeting like this and there's a lot of faces on the screen. Actually, this isn't really a meeting because there's about 300 of you out there, but there'd be a lot of people if we had a regular size office meeting using a tool like Zoom, and people were kind of barging right in on the meeting and disrupting things too. It was considered highly insecure. And so that's why you started to hear things about, questions about whether or not Zoom was ultimately secure. Let's talk a little bit more about that. The reason why Zoom had security problems was mostly because users weren't using it right. And those of us who teach technology know that the user's understanding of the security sessions is often a lagging factor. We learn the tool just good enough so that we can start using it right away, especially if we really feel we need to, but we don't often learn how to use the security features. Zoom has built-in security features that would enable you to conduct a meeting without worrying about Zoom bombers, starting with making sure that you use passwords. You should never have a Zoom meeting without using a password. You should never post a link to a Zoom meeting just on an open public forum like that. And now Zoom requires that you, by default, that you use a password to have a meeting. And so that was a good change. There were other features in Zoom that they were previously there, but now they're using them by default. For example, if our meeting starts like this one right now, I'm not the host of it, Jennifer is at the MSBA, she can lock the door so people can't come into the meeting late and once the meeting has started. Those are features that are there that you should employ. There's another one that if you do come in early to the meeting, I might have a 10 a.m. appointment with you, and then I've got another 11 a.m. appointment that's supposed to come on. And if our Zoom meeting is running a little bit long, the 11 a.m. meeting won't automatically come in. They'll have to wait in a waiting room. So, and then I have to admit that person. And of course, I'm not going to admit that person until my 10 a.m. Meeting person has now left the building. So there are all those features. If you use those features, so passwords, don't post the Zoom links in public forums, make sure you use the waiting room, and also, make sure you don't screen share. And that's what I'm doing right there. That's me at the start of my COVID beard back in March and April, learning how to use Zoom in my home office. And so turn off screen sharing if you are the host. Make sure you control. That's the other way that people Zoom bomb. If you get into a large meeting and suddenly they screen share and they're showing a whole lot of crap to everybody in the room that you don't want them to see. All right, so going back to this list one more time, I will talk about Microsoft Teams. People that wanted what they was considered a more safer alternative, a lot of them started moving to Teams. Teams is a great, great product, but just remember, Teams is the perfect name for that product because it was really designed to work with people who work within Teams. So if you and the same 5 people are working together and are conferencing and talking all the time, or a dozen people or 25 people, that's great. But where it gets a little bit iffy is when you're using that tool for audio-visual conferencing with people outside the team, like your clients. And so in that way, the audio-visual conferencing tool for people outside the team was kind of an afterthought. It still works well. I'm not exactly thrilled with the way that particular feature works. There's a lot of other features about Teams that works very well, but it's a little bit choppy. Now, my IT experts will tell me one of the reasons why it's a little bit choppy and you'll have more interruptions. I also don't like the fact that you can only have 4 people on the screen at once. And it's just one of those choices that they made, that Zoom decided we can be the Brady Bunch and have all 9 of us on the screen or something like that. But what I'm not a big fan of is the choppiness. And my IT experts tell me that that's because of the very high level of security that exists with the way it's encrypted. And so, there's, with all of these products, there's both good and bad too. So I'm just laying them both out there as well. And you decide. All right, so did you know, well, I'm gonna get on to another, I thought I had another example here as well. I'll come to it in just a bit. Maybe it's not in this particular slide. Okay, here's a tip for you. You are in a Zoom meeting and you want to record. You may not be the host, but you want to do an audio recording. Do you know that you have an audio recording device in your Windows 10 system right now? It is called Microsoft Voice Recorder. Just go to the lower left, type in Microsoft Voice or Voice Recorder, and this little thing that looks like a microphone icon will pop up. That's your application to record anything that's coming in through your microphone or you're hearing through the speakers. It just works like any old recorder. You can record, stop, rewind, listen, all that kind of stuff, and it automatically saves it. You can give it a name and give it the name of whatever meeting it was you attended. And so it's a great, great tool to record. It's absolutely free. It's already in your operating system too. Let's say you want to capture the video aspect of your team meeting as well. Now, of course, let me pause for a second. If you are a Zoom user and you are hosting this thing, you already know you can hit the record button in the upper left, I think it is, and just start recording all of this stuff automatically. And then everybody that's participating will see that the thing is being recorded. There's a little icon that appears to the rest of us that are in the meeting. That's how the recording feature in Zoom works. But let's say you're not the host and you want to be able to record this thing too. You can use a tool like Snagit from TechSmith. And well, Snagit was started so you can grab pictures and things off the internet and use them for your evidence displays and things like that. Works real great, but also they got to the point where you can not just grab pictures, but grab whole videos and things like that while they're happening too. So for 49 bucks, it's by TechSmith. It works great. Now, when I was doing this program last week, and I had a whole lot of programs, a whole lot of people, attorneys from Pennsylvania, suddenly saw in the chat session, all these lawyers from Pennsylvania were coming in and were saying, no, you can't do that. That's, and it was a great point. I was going to talk about the eavesdropping statutes in your jurisdiction. And in Pennsylvania, it is a 2-party state. Both parties, or at least all party state, everybody who's involved in the recording has to be made aware and approve of the fact that the conversation is being recorded as well. Minnesota is a 1-party state. There's a whole lot of lawyers out there too. And if for some reason my misunderstanding of eavesdropping and statutes in Minnesota has changed, go ahead and let me know. But Minnesota is a 1-party state. So you can record and capture that and save that. So it's a great tool if you want to remember later on what the heck occurred during that particular Zoom session that you were in too. Now, one other quick little thing too, and I know there's some real techies out there, and so some of you have already figured this out. I'm talking to you, Ken Alwyn, and maybe Laverne's listening too, but there is a recording tool that exists in your Windows operating tool that does both audio and visual, and it's buried within Windows 10. And it's called Windows 10 Game Bar. Now it's called Game Bar because it was made for gamers. Remember, Microsoft also made Xbox. So there's all these gamers, and I'm not a gamer, but I hear if you're having a really cool gaming session in Mortal Kombat or whatever it is you're playing, you like to hit the record button and save these things so you can show them off to your friends. And that Game Bar does exist. The way you go get it is you have to search for Windows 10 Game Bar. You'll have to initiate it. Actually, do a little quick Google session on that. But you have to first initiate it because it won't automatically appear. But then it's called Game Bar because it looks like a little bar that sits there, and then you can hit record and hit stop and hit save, things like that too. Works pretty cool because it records everything, and that's why it's a secret. Windows doesn't want you to be recording Netflix using this particular tool. Wink. All right. So, but that exists in there as well. You have features to record. These are a little clumsier. Gamers don't seem to have a problem with it, but we're lawyers. So you might want to use an actual recording tool like the one I just mentioned by TechSmith. Okay, so let's keep moving on too. Oh, this was the screen I was going to talk about too. Did you know there is a tool that's kind of like Zoom, but it's for attorneys, and it's called Legaler. It actually started out as a scheduling tool. It's one of those things where I can send you an invitation and say, let's set something up in the schedule. And then they very intuitively decided, hey, let's make it so that once the meeting arrives, the client can enter this room and you can enter this room and you can have a nice audio visual chat just the way you would in Zoom. And it's just for your legal clients. And it works that much better. It's not just a Zoom tool, it's actually a scheduling tool as well. Now, this is one of those I have not test driven, so I don't know how well it works with a large crowd. If any of you use it, let us know in the comments. That would be great. And it costs about 19 bucks a month. Allows you to store 3 gigabytes of file storage, which isn't a whole lot, but still that might be all you need while you're just saving. It's for sure just for meetings and things and all that information, 3 gigabytes is more than enough. But if you're actually saving the videos and things like that up in the scheduler, eventually you're gonna have to download them and save them somewhere else. I'll get to that in just a second. Okay. Oh, I've got one more communication recommendation. This is called Case Status. And this is one of those tools that allows you to, this is a little bit different. I said I got one more. Maybe I've got a couple more. I forget, there's 29 tips in here. I got to get through all of them. Okay, so this is a tool that if you've got a whole bunch of clients that you want to communicate with, and you don't even remember if they like, if this is my client that likes email or text or voicemail or whatever, if you enter their data into this case status thing, you can use it as a communication tool to when you've got to let them know, hey, we've got a hearing at the courthouse on Monday morning. You can just enter it there and boom, it goes out to all the different ways that that client wants to receive that information. And so, and if it turns out text is the way they want to do it, they'll get it through text. If they text you back, don't worry, they're not texting your direct mobile line. You're still enjoying a Sunday with the fam or by yourself, and you don't have to worry about getting texts on the phone from some client who's worried about Monday. It goes to the case status and you'll just be notified that your client has responded and you can log in at your convenience too. So there are very good tools out there to make sure that you're communicating with your clients as well. Is this the last one in my communication recommendation? I think it is. If you are in this situation because of COVID and you're working from home, it has dramatically changed the way that you are working with clients, and to the point where maybe a receptionist that you are using is no longer involved or something like that too. A lot of lawyers I know use Ruby. I've just been on the user end of Ruby from the point of view that I call so many of you that use Ruby, and so I can feel adequate to say what their quality is. These are real people that answer the phone and with nice friendly voices and will take down your message. If you accidentally get disconnected, they'll call you back before your client can redial the attorney's number. And so they're that good. That happened to me once. So that's why I'm bringing that up too as well. It's definitely not cheap. It's about 200 bucks a month for 50 receptionist minutes, but this is a real person, you know, and it's less than the cost of what it would to be hiring that person as well. So, and they are really good. So Ruby is one of those things too, if you are looking for a service to be your receptionist. All right, so let's move on. Okay, connectivity. All right, wait, I see that some people have been writing in questions while I'm talking. So maybe you're talking to each other and you're not asking me questions. Let me take a quick look at this too. We're not all using Windows. Command-Shift-5 to video capture on your Mac. Thank you from Daniel Brown. That's great to know. I realize you're not all using Windows, but according to the ABA, 92% of you are. So that is changing quite a bit. And so that's one of the great things about it. I am a Mac user as well, but for work, I'm required to use my Windows too. Do these meeting tools allow you to attach documents to the invitations? This is from Emily Duke. Wow. To be honest, Emily, I don't know. I don't use Zoom that way. Well, oh, yes. Okay. Yes. The answer is yes, because here's how I use it. When I set up a Zoom meeting, it allows you to set it up as an Outlook invitation. So it automatically opens up my Outlook meeting, puts all the Zoom information in there, and then I attach whatever documents I want people to read for that meeting as well. So yes, sorry for I haven't had my coffee yet. What's wrong with me? So yes, the answer to that is yes, you can attach documents to the invitation too. So we get a file with the PowerPoint when this is finished. I'll let Jennifer answer that. Yes, if you want, you can email me directly, tscott@mlmins.com. And finally, from Anita, CBSI also has very good and cheaper service similar to Ruby. Good to know, Anita. CBSI. I don't know what CBSI stands for, but it's always nice to hear other recommendations from people like you that are out there watching. Okay, so let me go back. We're going to start talking about communications. Hey, good start. It's nice to know that you guys are tracking along here on a Monday morning as well. Let's talk about connectivity. Like I said, when I came home, I needed to figure out, okay, am I getting all that I'm paying for with my internet service, especially because it seems a lot slower than it should. I definitely knew I needed to up my amperage as well. Technically, it's not amperage, but I needed to up my speed. And so that's why the first thing I needed to do was check. This thing is called speedtest.net. This is pretty cool if you haven't tried this. Go to this website, speedtest.net, and click this go button that is right in the center of the screen. Suddenly it looks like you're Bubba Wallace on a NASCAR track in Talladega, and you've got this tachometer that is flying up the screen, and it's testing two things: your download time in megabytes per second and your upload time in megabytes per second as well. Now, I was paying at that time for about 100 megabytes per second, and it was saying I was getting about 25 to 30 megabytes per second. That's great. That's right where you need to be. I know it sounds weird. You're paying for 100, you're only getting 25 to 30. It has, there's a lot of factors involved, one of which is the fact that you're using Wi-Fi. And so I'm not directly connected to my router. In this case, I'm in a home office in the upstairs level of my house, and the router is downstairs. More on that to come. And so 25 to 30 was good. That means you're getting a decent connection. I also found, the download speed was more like 5 to 6. Trust me, that's good as well. You're not paying for 100 megabytes per second download. A download is very different. I just totally screwed this up. Okay, sorry. Some of you are laughing already because you figured this out. Your download speed should be the 25 to 30. Your upload speed is the one that's 5 to 6 megabytes per second. Okay, because not as often are we uploading something to the internet, but we're constantly downloading things from the internet. That's why you want to be in that sweet spot of 25 to 30, okay? So at least I've got it written correctly there on my PowerPoint. So just know that that's average. Now, when my kids woke up and they all started working on their homework and things like that, 3 college kids, they're home from school. 2 of them were suddenly doing homework. The other one's taking a nap. What's going on? And so the internet slowing down and all of that. Suddenly my download speed is getting a lot less. So I needed to up my amperage as well. So I upgraded to 1,000 megabytes per second. That's also called 1 gigabyte if you know your math. So it is 1,000 megabytes per second. Get this too, because I hadn't called, CenturyLink was my provider. I hadn't really checked on my pricing in a while. When I uploaded 10 times from 100 to 1,000, it actually cost me $2 a month less. I was going from something like $72 a month to 69 bucks a month, something like that. So that's the other thing too. Whatever you're paying for might be cheaper if you haven't called them in a while as well. So what's available in the neighborhood might have changed. Not everybody has available to them 1,000 megabytes per second or a gigabyte, especially if you're down a country road. It might be coming close to where you live, but not quite up to your house. So just know that it's not always available, but check on that. If you do internet TV, you're for sure going to want these kind of speeds, and you're going to want to direct wire them into the modem and the power supply as well. So let's talk about that for a second too. I had this other problem because there's so many kids in the house. Once they got done with their homework, they're all watching Netflix, stuff like that. And then my problem is slowing down even more. One thing I knew for sure is because the router is downstairs on the complete opposite end of the house. It was a problem for sure for that signal to get all the way up to where I'm talking to you right now. And so I got this thing called a Wi-Fi repeater extender. It's that little box that's on the lower right. There's a bunch of folks that make these things as well. TP-Link is the one I think I've got. There's just so many good ones. Do a little bit of research, but they're all basically the same technology and work very well. But what it does is I plug this thing into an area kind of halfway between. And so in my case, it's plugged in the stairwell. It's picking up the signal that's coming from downstairs. It's picking it up in one antenna, and it's boosting it, a very powerful signal, out of the other antenna. So now that I am upstairs, it's like I'm that much closer to my router. And suddenly I'm getting much better connectivity than I would have if I didn't have that there too. Real cheap. I'll give you some, I think it comes up later on in my hardware recommendations, but for about 70 bucks is what you'd expect to pay for an okay one. Cat 5 hardware. It still never hurts to be directly wired too. I hear people are making fun of us baby boomers who installed these things in our houses, and to the point where the Urban Dictionary calls these things boomer holes. Can you believe that? Why would they tease us like that? We thought we were doing so well by putting these Cat 5 network ports all throughout our house. And so, but these boomer holes, as we call them, are, hey, look, if you got internet TV and you want to get your 1,000 megabytes per second directly to your darn TV, you're going to wish you had the boomer hole and plug the Cat 5 wire directly from your router through the boomer hole into your TV as well. So if you've got these things are still the best. Don't worry, you're not too far behind. And they're probably considered more secure, although it's pretty hard. I mean, I shouldn't have even said that because there's so much security involved with these Wi-Fi devices as long as they are encrypted. But just top level security is going to still be directly wired, hardwired to your setup. Okay, so speaking of setup, this is that list that I was talking about of home office basics and setups. Now, again, as I said at the beginning, I'm not really a techie guy. God bless Ross Codner, the Wisconsin lawyer, who started the whole concept of 60 tips in 60 minutes. He's no longer with us. He was a great guy, but I'm not really one of those guys. But I'm fascinated by the people that do this. And so I I'm delivering to you a list that was published by the New York Times, specifically in their section called Wirecutter. And these came out last spring of their top recommendations in all of the essential tools that you would need from home. I figured you'd rather hear this from them than from me anyway as well. Turns out I was lucky because a lot of these things that they're recommending, I'm already using. And so I can definitely attribute to how good they are. So let's talk about these top recommendations for hardware tools from home too. Starting with, okay, let me back up for a second. You don't have to have all of these things, but you might want to consider having them as well. Okay, here's a good example. If you've already got a decent size computer that holds a whole lot of on-site storage, then you might not need something like this on-site storage and backup tool by Western Digital. It's called MyBook. It's 4 terabytes of storage for just over $100. Can we take a moment to drop our jaws and just think about what is 4 terabytes of data? You could not, I don't think 100 law firms could fill up a terabyte with all the documents that they create in 50 years. These are just straightforward Word documents and all of that. That's how much a terabyte could possibly hold. And so this is 4 terabytes for $100. And so why do we need all that space? Well, we do a lot more than documents lately. You might be storing video, you might be backing up other things too, including apps and all of the software that's associated with it as well. And the reason you might want this is, let's say you are a laptop user primarily. I'm using a Microsoft Surface Pro right now, and I use this, but it doesn't hold a whole lot. Definitely doesn't hold a terabyte or even 4 terabytes as well. So I would want a tool like this to make sure that I'm backing up to somewhere if I'm working from home and doing a lot more than I would now. So make sure you got backup in case my Microsoft Surface is suddenly disappeared because I mistakenly lost it, or something horrible happened, like somebody stole it of my car. So just make sure you've got it all backed up on site. You're going to want to back it up off site as well. I'll talk about that. Oh, here it is. Off-site backup is more important than ever now that you're working from home. Before, you pretty much every night, assuming you didn't sleep at your farm, I know some of you did, but before, you had to leave the office all the time too. And those of you that were really good about this would take your backup, put it in your backpack or your purse or briefcase, and then take it home and take it off site. That way, if something happened, like some kid crawled in the window at night and took your server, no worries, because well, you do have some worries, but we won't get into that. But you, at least in terms of recovering your data, you just needed a new server, needed to bring that backup back to work and restore it. Or if the building burned down or something like that, you had your backup. Online backup is considered the most secure and the most best practices as well too, mostly because it works automatically and we don't have to remember to do it all the time. So it'll back up automatically. Here's a good one. It's recommended by Wirecutter. I like it a lot too, mostly because it's not as complicated as some of the other ones like Carbonite. Mozy's good, pretty good, not so complicated. But Backblaze, unlimited backup for $6 a month. There's really no excuse. This is almost free, and it will save you so much. And the reason why this is more important than ever, you don't go home every night. And so hopefully nothing happens to you and your family in your home. But if something did happen to it, it'll also take out your business as well, because that's where your computer resides if you're working in a home office. So just make sure you're doing online backup. It does it automatically. Know the difference between online backup and document backup. The tools like Office 365, or excuse me, OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive, or Dropbox, those are for files and documents and things like that too as well. Now, they work extremely well as backup, but it's not automatically backing up every single thing, all your emails and all those other things that you'll lose if you allow if the computer burns because the house burned as well. So this will take care of everything. It'll back it all up. Okay, I won't talk as much about some of these other things because there's not so much to say, but I will say this too, is when I went home, I just, for a lot of different reasons, I really liked the fact that I was working in a smaller, more confined workspace, but it also meant I needed smaller tools. Like this is just a little bit bigger than my hand. This is my keyboard. I think it's a Logitech keyboard, like the one that Wirecutter recommends. This isn't the exact same one. You're gonna realize too that Logitech does a whole lot of good Bluetooth portable tools as well, like the mouse and the keyboard. Just think about these things. They're always inexpensive, anywhere between 20 and 40 bucks is typical of that. Gets rid of a lot of the wires that are on the space. The better ones are the ones that are ergonomically designed, feel a little bit softer on the fingers. Just go check into some of those too. Okay, time to treat yourself. Get a 4K monitor. Get a monitor, a really good monitor for a lot of reasons. Now, this is not cheap, but you can justify, you can write it off. It's gonna be part of your business purchases too. Here's a good one recommended by Wirecutter. It's a 4K monitor, HP Z27. It's just over 500 bucks. It's a 27-inch TV. It's great. If you've got your stair stepper behind you in your home office and you want to, during a break, watch some Game of Thrones or something like that, or get in a little bit of the Today Show, you're going to, it's kind of great if your monitor works so well that it's also like a screen. Okay, so you don't need that high end, of course, to get a lot of your legal work done too. But it is good to be good to your eyes, and also have a monitor with a bunch of ports, meaning you can plug in a lot of different things too, USB 3.0, USB-C, HDMI, all of these things available in a good monitor like that too, by HP. You're going to see a little trend here in a lot of these things that Wirecutter recommends. Printers as well. Okay, so most of you, of course, you have a home office, especially if you're watching this from home. That probably means you've got a home office, and you probably have some sort of printer available, probably an inkjet printer. for just over $100 or maybe even less. There's some really good ones that are out there that work very well. If you do lots and lots of paper, inkjet printers will maybe not pass the test, you know. So time to think about maybe getting a laser printer from home. HP, here's a good one, LaserJet Pro M255dw for $300. The price on these things have really come down. Remember, they consume a lot of ink, so that's where they're really going to get you. You're going to have to refill these things, but these things will hold a lot of paper, up to 250 sheets. That's a ream of paper, will fit right in there. And 22 pages per minute, that's kind of the sweet spot. You'll see with real good printers, they'll work like that, at least for black and white. This one works for black and white and color at the same speed. So this is good, fast. It's by a reliable company, and real crisp colors. Auto duplexing means it can do both sides as well. Okay, but if you do want an all-in-one tool, HP OfficeJet Pro is one of their top of the lines, just over $200. This is the 9015, same thing. Now, an all-in-one tool will allow you to do a lot of that. It prints the same speed, 22 pages per minute, and color as well. You might wonder, well, why would I pay for the more expensive one? You'll notice the difference, especially if you do a lot of printing. And with these, you have to clean the inkjets regularly. It's not that hard to do if you know which buttons to push on there as well, but you have to keep it clean, and it's got more maintenance issues that go with it as well. You probably have to take the time to fill up the ink cartridges as well. So this would work if you're somebody who prints about 100 to 500 pages per month. That's about 2 reams, and it has the flatbed scanner, and it's a copier and all those other fun things as well. Okay, so I got a couple tools that you would pretty much need more for your audio conferencing thing. Let's go into this webcam thing too as well. Not going to talk a whole lot about webcams, but you get what you pay for, and this is a $70 Logitech tool, and a good webcam is going to not only be in full HD, but it's also going to have dual microphones on there. Those things on each side are microphones. It's actually picking you up in stereo. It's a better quality to those who are on the other end who want to hear you. It doesn't sound as tinny when they're listening to you talk. And you know what I love about it? It's got that little lens cap cover on there too as well. It is true when you think about it that there are a lot of hackers that use tools that are spyware, literally in the sense that they can take over your camera and not turn on the little light that tells you your camera is on. Don't mean to make you paranoid, but it is true. It's great if you just want to cover that up. A lot of people just cover it up with a Post-it. There's some cool little things. I just saw these the other day where it installs like a little sliding door and just sticks onto your tool, the camera tool on your laptop. And you can slide it over or slide it back, kind of like those bingo cards of days of old, where you can just slide it over and it'll cover up the screen. Nobody can watch you, and you don't want them watching you as well. All right, this was one that I had purchased even before I saw it on the list. I really love Jabra's tools. If you want to be the best sounding lawyer in the Zoom meeting, get a tool like this, Jabra. They've got these headsets and microphones that are really good quality, really lightweight on the ears. This one, you're going to pay a little bit more than some of the cheaper ones that are on Amazon. This is about $110, but I really like it. Very comfortable, very soft. It doesn't feel like it's sitting on your head for a long time. I don't use it with these programs because I use more of, this is a Blue microphone. And so I do a lot of podcasts, and I need a kind of a higher quality microphone for this. And so it works very, very well. This is about a $200 microphone. And so I do this, but if you want something cheaper, but it sounds really, really good, you don't mind the look of wearing a headset with a microphone while you're in a meeting, get a Jabra. They're both wireless and connected. I actually like the connected version as well. Because I'm not one of those people that want to walk around the room with the headset on. But mostly if it's wireless, you might run out of battery while you're in the middle of a meeting. If it's connected, then you don't have to worry about that issue. So just know that they're out there. There's some really good ones. Oh, there's my Blue microphone. Blue, made by Yeti. $200. Well, no, I've got it listed here at $129. There's a series of Blue microphones. Some are more expensive than others. And so, yeah, okay, Yeti by Blue, $129, works really good. takes your sound quality way up. You want to have the microphone farther away from your laptop if for no other reason than the microphone in your laptop might be picking up the fan noise that is working there as well. One of the original Surface Pros, I think it was the Surface Pro 5, the microphone was way too close to this fan. And so even though it was a really good quality microphone, it always sounded like it was hissing. And so that's the #1 reason why you might want to have a microphone separate from your computer. So have good quality sound while you're in the room too. All right, so moving on to the 4th and final category, which is productivity tools and applications too. These are mixed in a bunch of different things. Now, here's the real challenge, whether I can get through all of these. Okay, I probably shouldn't do this because I've got so much to say, but I know you guys have been asking questions as we go. So let me take a quick peek at the questions. What you've been asking as we go. Derek, can you upgrade internet without needing service providers in your residence with COVID-19? Okay, so the person yes, the answer is yes, because you can go pick up all that you need and they will talk you through on the phone how to install it. But in my case, because I was going up to 1,000 gigabytes, let's get real technical here. There was a wire that went from where this thing enters my house. It was, I think there's fiber optic that's running down my street in South Minneapolis. I'm about a block away from Minnehaha Falls in the Longfellow neighborhood. And they installed fiber optics. And so the CenturyLink then connected it to my house. But from that box to my router, they had installed something called Cat 5 wire. I needed, in order to go to 1,000, I needed Cat 5e or Cat 6 or Cat 7. I sound pretty techie right now, don't I, for a lawyer? But anyway, I learned that the hard way because I was not getting my 1,000 gigabytes. So somebody had to come in and reinstall, upgrade the wire that basically ran about 20 feet through my basement. So sorry about that. If you, in my case, you know, we just made sure that person went straight to the basement and I stayed plenty far away. And so I wasn't too worried about that too. So good question, Derek, though. Emily, if you have Office 365 or biz level Google Docs, would you even need an online backup? Yes, for the reason I mentioned before. Online backup is going to back up all the other things that isn't created in those services. I mean, if you're only backing up documents, then yes, and you're creating them in Office 365, then they are there. But you've got to back up a whole lot more. You've got to back up all the data on your computer, including emails, including all the other things too that might be from other non-Office related devices. So those video recordings or those audio recordings I was mentioning earlier, those are just sitting on your device somewhere. And unless you instruct all of those to go to Office 365, which I doubt you would, you're just going to want a tool that automatically runs in the background. So yes, let's wear both suspenders and a belt if we want safety, in this case, when it comes to backup. So use a document backup tool, but also use automatic backup. It's okay to pay, it's only $6 a month, so I don't feel bad saying that. But anyway, good point. What is the benefit of using something like Backblaze over iCloud for Mac users as well? No benefit over that. iCloud can work, well, I take that back. I'm not a regular iCloud user, and iCloud is sort of the equivalent of OneDrive. So for the very same reason I just said that before, iCloud is only going to back up what you tell it to and all that, whereas Backblaze is going to back up everything automatically. And also, let's just say this. If you were to lose it all because of a fire or a tornado or something like that, think about what life would be like if you have to download all that stuff from iCloud or from Office 365. It is a mess. You're going to have to download it bits and pieces at a time. You lose your laptop due to fire or tornado, and you install a new one and then go to your Backblaze. Boom, it all comes down. That's another one of the differences as well. So that's why people like me say, get both services. All right, real good questions. I subscribe to Backblaze for automatic online backup. Do I still need external backup? No, not necessarily. That's why I didn't mention like a Seagate hard drive in my tools here, because I don't think you need external backup anymore. I mean, okay, if we really want to worry, which us lawyers are good at, we might lose it all because if Backblaze were to go out of business. But but that's in my career, that's never happened. Okay, I just stuck my neck on the block there. But anyway, but usually that's the reason that we don't do that. Okay, so let's get away from the questions. Hey, we did start a few minutes late, so I'm gonna go a few minutes over. Sorry to those of you who have to leave early, but I think I'm gonna reserve the what do they say on the floor of the Senate? I'm going to reserve my time and keep moving here as well. So I'm going to go about 7 minutes over, which is the time it took to start late too. So we can get in all these productivity tools and apps. All right, these are just all the cool things that I started to use more because I work from home too. Starting with Adobe Acrobat Pro. Now we've done whole entire programs on this tool, and so. So I couldn't get into it all. Those of you that use this, you know there's a lot more than a PDF creator. But the reason why it's become so essential now that you're working from home is not only for the ability to create PDFs and forms, but also because it works with eSign. eSign is a great tool to allow you to send the documents that you've created in PDF to your clients who are also at home, have them sign things, and get it certified signed, meaning once that they've signed it, electronically of course, once they've signed it, that document's locked down. You can't go in and change it. They can't go in and change it as well. That's what a certified signature is, and that's how it works in these tools as well. So Adobe eSign also exists. Now, basic Adobe, it doesn't cost $400 anymore. It'll cost you anywhere between 12 to 15 bucks a month if you're using the online version. Very, very affordable now for these tools. It's a no-brainer. It's probably going to, I mean, it might, anyway, no more emphatic statements from me about the future of technology. I'll just keep moving, but it's a really good tool and it's very, very affordable as well. Now, if you get it with eSign, you're going to have to move up to the one that goes for between 15 and 20 bucks a month. But like I said, it works very, very well. I wish I could do more to demonstrate for you how that works, but it's the best tool. You can so many things you can do with it as well. Let's say you've got a document that multiple people have to sign and they have to sign it in a certain order. You can choose who signs it in what order, and then it's sent out to all those people, but everybody else knows they can't sign it until the one just before them did so as well. Things like that too. So you can choose that maybe it's a document that's to be signed by 2 different people, and you can't, somebody can't accidentally sign the other person's signature line there too as well. Very much a lot of control with how you use eSign as well. Okay, so let's move on to another productivity tool that I've been recommending a lot since I started working from home. This one caught me off guard because it's been around for a long time. It's called Microsoft OneNote. It caught me off guard because I realized that this crazy thing that's been sitting on my computer, and frankly, I never knew how I could really use this to my advantage. It became the #1 tool I used once I started working from home. And Microsoft OneNote allowed me to get rid of a whole lot of file folders. I came home on March 29th. I took a whole lot of blank vanilla file folders with me because, boy, I'm going to have to start printing things and saving them at home, stuff like that. And as I sat here on this tiny little desk in my office, I thought, is it possible I can be truly paperless? I'm going to give this a try. And this tool was the #1 thing to help me do that, in the sense that all those files that I was creating, every time somebody sent me an email that I wanted to save, or if I'm planning for this program coming up with the MSBA, and I want to store it, or I can create a notebook, and in the notebook I can create chapters. And so in this case, I had a notebook, and the chapters, one of the chapters was MSBA. And then in the chapter, I had different sections, and one of the sections was presentations. And in the section, I could create all these different pages. And so I created a page that was for this program on July 27th. And everything related to this program, I threw it on that page. Let me give you, I think I give you sort of a quick screenshot of mine. Okay, so I have all these different notebooks, and this one is called Webcast. This one is called MLM Webcast. And so I have a section for each, well, these are all sections. This is, excuse me, chapters. These are the sections. So I have a section for each webcast, and this was the one for June 18th. And in the section, I've got different pages. And so everything related to this particular webcast, I just throw it in there. If somebody wrote me an email about it, I just drag it and drop it in there. If I had a video file that went with it, I would just drag it and drop it in there. And I'm just saving everything. No more manila file folders for me. Aren't printing anything off. And so Microsoft OneNote, if you already have the productivity suite from Office, this is in there as well. So I recommend you take a closer look at it. I love this so much that I welcome you to call me offline if you have more questions of it, or write me at tscott@mlmins.com. So really highly recommend it. It's changed my life since I started working from home. Okay, if you're one of those people too that working from home means that suddenly you need a better task list or to-do list, I like to show this one off when I'm in a live group. Don't have time to do that now, but Todoist works very well. It also works if you want to combine task lists, office related and home related too. You can share file folders. I've got one file folder that's called home. And I shared that with my spouse. And so occasionally I'm sitting here working and I'll see, oh, there are more to-dos that are going in my home to-do list. I wonder how those are getting there. And so my weekend is suddenly zapping away. I'm going to be cleaning the garage this weekend by looking at my phone. My phone is telling me this. So anyway, $3 a month for the top level version of it. Works really well. Free if you just keeping track of 80 projects, which is usually a lot less than what you need for as an attorney too as well. Got another tool in here to help you. I should have put this one up in the communication tool. It's a lot like the one I mentioned before. If you want to set up calendar appointments with your client, this is Calendly. A lot of lawyers use this tool. It takes away that old, hey, what day are you available? Are you available Saturday? Are you available Tuesday? How about never? Are you available on never? It takes all that out of the picture, and then you can instead send the client a list. You'll just go and check off the days that you want to meet with that client, send it to them, and then they get this thing, and then they can sit there and decide and take as long as they want to decide which day works for them. When they finally decided, it'll show back up on your calendar that you have a meeting with them. Very affordable. It's $0 for a single user, $8 for a team, web-based scheduling reminder called Calendly. Okay, I've got a couple of expense and time tracking tools in here as well. These a lot more. Working from home sometimes means you don't have as many people around to sort of remind you to keep on top of certain things, including time tracking. Toggle is one of the long-standing tools that a lot of lawyers have really liked. It allows you to sort of turn things on, turn things off in terms of time and expense tracking. So one-click timer to start entries quickly, over 100 plus app integrations. So it works very well with your Outlook, works with your with tools like QuickBooks and Quicken Online and things like that too. $9 for a single user, $18 for a team. And it works on your mobile device as well. That's why most lawyers use it, because they want a good time tracking tool on their mobile device that will work with your Microsoft Outlook as well. This one's a little bit different. This is a different concept. This is the idea that you got to the end of the week and you're wondering, okay, what did I do all week? I've only billed out, I don't know, 16 hours. That's not bad, but it seems like I should have done more. Tools like Time Miner, what they'll do is they'll bring up on your screen all the different things that you did that look like they might have involved client matters and work that you did, and say, hey, do you want to capture time for this? So emails that are related to client matters, other documents that you might have created, it's keeping track of the amount of time that you did, or if it doesn't, I mean, you might have spent days working on a particular document, and so you can enter the time that it took to do that too as well. $13 a month, it's called Time Matter. Okay, and this is a little bit Big Brother-ish too, because when you choose to use some of these tools, now there's not like another human somewhere that's watching what you're doing, but it's a little bit like Siri in the sense that it is just sort of keeping track of what you're doing. And so it can remind you later, hey, here's what you did. So just know that that's what these time miners do. You select date parameters. You'd only choose the last week, and it mines it for billable activities as well. Definitely these tools are known to pay for themselves very, very quickly. And so if you're one of those people that want to use a tool to help keep track of things that way, There's a lot of good ones out there, including Time Miner. Okay, so let's say we want to create US mail. We want to get away from the emails and things like that too. Case mail is a good example of that. You can upload a PDF document. It'll create an actual paper version of it, put it in an envelope and send it off. You're paying for the price of a stamp and also for a small price for the monthly service, $13 for a single, $50 for a team. But it really has a lot of other tools in there that you would use as well. It allows you to do this sort of certified tracking and other things as well. If you ever want to verify that certain letters were sent and that certain letters were received, it'll allow you to do all of that if you move to the higher level of certification, verification services that exist in there as well. So the bottom line is this: everything that might get you to get up from your chair and go print something off and fold it and lick it and drop it off in a mailbox, all of that can be duplicated purely through these services that exist. Let me pause quickly to talk about the ethics of all of this. The ethics of this are no different than when the Mohawk or the Iron Mountain person came and shredded all your documents. What they did was they handed you a receipt that said, hey, all these documents that we're driving away or we're storing for you, our employees have been trained to maintain the confidential nature of the information that exists within these documents. And we are going to give you a guarantee that we will not divulge the information that we see from this too. You need that same level of guarantee from these kind of vendors as well. And Case Mail will do that for you. Read the terms of service. That's really what I'm trying to tell you now. With all of these applications that you subscribe to, it's up to you to read the terms of service to find out whether or not they will maintain the confidentiality, that they encrypt the data when it's there so nobody can hack into it, but also that they will maintain your confidentiality. Then you've done your due diligence and you're okay. The law, the Rule 1.6, comment 17 allows you to do what's reasonable, and that's considered reasonable to do that because you've done your due diligence and they said it's encrypted and they said it's been kept confidential. If it's other tools that don't give you that sort of level of confidentiality, then you might it might not pass the test. I'm getting very near my time, and also I'm getting very near this program too. Expensify. These are great tools for just keeping track of your receipts. A lot of times you do this job at the end of the month or whatever, and you need to do that. There are so many apps. I don't think I have one here on the screen about the apps where you can pick up your phone and take a picture of this too. Expensify allows you to do it, so it's on your phone. It's on the screen. Take a picture of all the receipts, saves them. Automatic receipt scanning, but this one also keeps track of your mileage, GPS mileage tracking, puts it all together for $5 a month, and you can organize it in this list. There are other tools. Because I'm a big Adobe user, I use the Adobe tool for Adobe Scanner on my phone. I take a picture of my receipt, saves it up in my Adobe Cloud storage, and it works the same way as well. So just know that there's lots of that available too. Same rule applies. Make sure you're using something that encrypts it so that nobody can hack into it when it's in storage, but also that they will give you confidentiality. Read the terms of service as well too. Oh, I got a couple more here too. Last but not least, I think this is last but not least. This one is very, very important. I wanted to talk about LastPass, and maybe this is the best way to end up. I might have another tool. I've got another tool in there, but I'm not going to worry about that one too. It's just a proofreader too as well. But okay, so LastPass, this is a great way to finish up. I love LastPass because not only will it save all of your passwords and organize them very well, but it's a great succession planning tool. What do I mean by that? It allows you to take all of your passwords, especially if you're working in a partnership. If something were to happen to you and you get a stroke and suddenly you can't come back to work anymore, but somebody has to be able to get into your computer to take care of your client matters, you want to be able to leave your passwords up to somebody else that you entrust with those as well. And so LastPass has this little thing called emergency access. It's this little setting here, 3 from the bottom. I think, watch this. I am going to get away from my screen sharing for a second, and I'm going to pull up LastPass. And come on, get away. I've got this Zoom thing in the middle of the screen. Let me see if I can get to it. There we go. Okay, So this is my LastPass. Don't worry, you're not going to, it automatically defaulted. Okay, well, I've run out of time. Let me go back to my thing there. What I wanted to show you was it turned itself off, and I'm not going to log into my LastPass in front of all 300 of you. So no offense, not that I don't trust anybody, I just don't trust everybody. And so but what this little device allows you to click on emergency access. I can leave it up to an associate at work by entering in their email, giving them access to my passwords. But I don't want them having my passwords all the time. I don't trust my associates that much either. So, but I do want them to have access to it if I were to get hit by a bus. So what happens is this: if they realize I got hit by a bus and they have to get into my laptop, they can, because I've given them access, they can do this thing where they access my LastPass. And then I set it to 48 hours. And what that means is they've got to wait for, they've got 48 hours. Well, no, I have 48 hours because I'll get a notice that says, hey, my trusted associate now wants to get access to my passwords. I've got 48 hours to say, nope, I'm still alive. You can't get access to my computer. Or if I'm not still alive, then I guess I'm not going to be able to say nope. And so after 48 hours expires, they will suddenly get access to all of my passwords and be able to go in there and take care of my data, shut down my Facebook account, things like that to get me into too much trouble anyway, and be able to do all those things that you want people to do after you're a goner. So it's a great succession planning tool. We highly recommend it for lawyers for this reason alone. It's $0 for basic, but this feature I just described is a premium feature, and therefore it's going to cost you $3 a month. Just get it. It's really good. So anyway, all right. I am definitely at the end of my time. I've gone way over. I hope not all of you had to leave, but we had to start a little bit late. Let me go back to see if there was any final questions. I use MyCase for electronic case management. MyCase just added e-signature on a PDF with the certification stamp, and it's included in the monthly subscription cost of MyCase, which is about $35 per month per user. That's a great price for a great tool. That was from Julie. So great. Thank you for that recommendation on MyCase. Sam says, does Backblaze backup install programs such as Bankruptcy Pro, backup the installed program? It depends, especially if the installed program is, sometimes they're installed, but a lot of it is cloud-based, and so it can't do it all. But I don't know for that particular program. But yes, in general, if the program is completely installed on your computer, it will save it just the way that executable file and the install file was also saved on your computer as well. You might still have to go through a reinstall, but at least that program will be there as sort of that file program for installation. Is Todoist better than what you get in Outlook? I think it is better. Thank you for that question, L. Hansen. Yeah, I think it is, because I like something simpler and not too complicated. Matter of fact, it's a lot better. I think the task list in Outlook is really bad. It's just got these flags and stuff, and you can't control different level. Well, you kind of maybe a couple levels of priority, but no, this allows me to put to-dos in different colors, and blue are for work, and green are from home, and orange is for my kids' college stuff, and all those kind of things. And especially if you're very visual and you like something more easier, Todoist works better. Hey, Jennifer, butt in if I should shut up, but I got a lot of questions here, and I'm going to keep going here too. Do you have anything discussing how to get things out of OneNote? So if I put everything about a case in there, how can I get it out again? Well, actually, the purpose is to kind of keep it there. I mean, I guess if you want to delete it all because someday you're not using it, I mean, I can go and delete a chapter. If I've got different chapters of my workbook that are related to my clients, yes, I can go and delete an entire chapter. It'll give you a warning. Hey, all the information in this chapter is going to be gone. Are you sure you're going to want to do that? And you say yes, and it's gone. So Anita, the answer to your question is, yep, you can delete all client stuff, but I like to save it forever. Okay, Anita, again, for Macs, Things is very good and syncs phones, iPads, etc. Good to know. Things for Macs. What did I miss here? Emily Duke, what are your thoughts on security of storing and sharing using Adobe Pro or eSign and the like? I use Nitro Pro for PDFs and DocuSign for signatures, both great products. And they have these features. So I assume Adobe does too, and eSign. Now, I've got technical people that hate Adobe, but they hate it for all the reasons that highly technical people hate it, because they feel like it's taking over the world, kind of the way Microsoft is. But there's always going to be products that are like that too. I think Adobe is very good, and especially in terms of security as well. So I don't have any problems with the level of security. Matter of fact, I chose Adobe over some of the other ones that are out there because I like the level of security that was better. I like the idea of saving all of my stuff in one place. So when I scan something, turn it into a PDF, I know it's going to be there. So later on at the end of the month, when I'm doing my receipts and all that, they're all there. I can drag them to where I need to do that. Any recommendations for OneNote training seminars? Scott Curtis. I don't know. We're training. It's been a while since I've had to do online training. And so there are lots of good ones out because it's a Microsoft Office-based product. There's going to be a lot of good ones that are out there. You can do online training anywhere nationwide and shop for a good one. And you'll probably find it very cheap as well. So I'm sorry I can't give you a specific training name. Scott, if I find something that is good, I'll try to dig you up and send you an email offline for that too. Oh, from Mark Abbott. Thank you, Mark. God, I love this. Microsoft's OneNote training library. You can find it in Office support. Yes, it's a training library with lots of videos and good advice too, but sometimes it's great to have a teacher that's teaching you and a couple of other people how to use OneNote at the same time. And so there are things that are out there as well. Great. Jennifer is giving me the go-ahead to keep going. It feels like a Monday morning talk show. Caller, you're next on the line. Jemima, how you doing, Jemima? With OneNote app, you can also use it on all your devices as well. Yes, I didn't mention that as well. OneNote, like any other Office 365, will work on all your other devices as well. So if you put it in OneNote, it's just a better way of saving things. Let's get rid of all the directories that we used to use and save things that way as well. Clearly, you guys, it looks like for several of you have kind of hit a note with OneNote. And I really like that idea because, like I said, it's sort of the tool that we've all been looking for, but we just never really had a compelling need because we relied on paper files so much, or we used file directories, and we're working with a wider scale network. But if you are, especially if you're a solo, especially if you're working from home, and you decided I want to print less, Microsoft OneNote is what we're talking about right now, and it is really, really good. Anita, regarding OneNote, I meant archiving a case rather than just deleting it. Thank you for the excellent presentation. Thank you, Anita. Yes, well, archiving in a sense too, you are doing that with your online backup tools. You get those choices about how you want to save things and how they want to be organized once you back up. That's where backup can get a little bit complicated, is deciding what's going to get saved and where it's going to get saved and things like that, and what's not going to get overwritten. So when you're choosing an online backup tool, it'll ask you to make some of those choices, and that can become the part that can be a little bit overwhelming for the casual user. You don't have to really dive in deep. You can just choose backup everything, and it will do that. But for the sort of the sense of archiving things and archiving it separately, yes. Matter of fact, Office 365 will back up your OneNote and archive things separately as well too. Mac Keychain is built in and saves all your passwords across all your devices. Thanks, Daniel Brown. Good to know as well. Mac Keychains. Lots of good advice here from everybody. Okay, Daniel, you mentioned earlier, and I missed this one. Is that HP wireless? Yes, I should have mentioned that too. Don't bother getting a printer that is not wireless and is not going to work with your Wi-Fi. Most of them that will do that now, and that's sort of the new standard. And what it really, it's harder to run wires, especially through old buildings and old houses that will do it direct wiring as well. And so, and Wi-Fi has gotten so good, especially if you use a repeater like I recommended earlier. So wireless will allow you to do that. And if you have an all-in-one tool like those HP tools that I recommended earlier, it will allow you to do that. You just basically find your router. You're doing this all through the printer while you're setting it up. It'll search for all the wireless signals that it's picking up. You choose the one. Mine has something to do with the Minnesota Vikings. So if you're in my neighborhood, you can drive around and look for my wireless signal. I won't tell you what the password is, but and when you find that signal, then you choose that one, you enter the password while you're setting up the new printer. And then that way, now that my laptop, which is sitting also attached to that same wireless signal, now my laptop knows that that HP printer is associated with it. So that's how wireless printing works if you're not already doing it that way. Anything in particular we should look for in a decent, inexpensive repeater extender? Repeaters and extenders, I'm sorry, I don't have a whole lot more technical specifications for. Yes. Okay, Lori Jones. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. If you are going to go to this high-end 1,000 megabytes or a gigabyte experience, and then yes, you want a higher-end repeater. So that is the thing I had to look for. When I was shopping for a repeater, I couldn't just get the best or the cheapest one off the shelf. I had to make sure I got one that would also work with my higher-end Wi-Fi. So yes, great question. You might have to buy a higher-end repeater that will just look for how many, the range. It'll give you a range of like 400 to 1,200 megabytes per second. That fell within my range that I needed for a repeater. So I bought that one. It cost about 70 bucks. It was by TP-Link. Great question. Thank you, Lori Jones. Okay, and we will wrap it up at that. Thank you for allowing me to go over, Jennifer. It looks like a lot of you had questions. You can always get a hold of me at any time. Hey, I miss seeing all of you out there in the world as we are fighting this COVID thing too. If COVID has hit your house like it did mine, I bless you all. Stay in good health, take care of each other, and stay safe, because we want to be back out there representing lawyers. We're all fine at my house now, but it is a scary thing. And so practice safe social distancing. But when it's all done, come back to the Bar Association meetings, show up more than ever, show up live and in person. We'd love to see your face, and I'd love to see yours when that all happens again. So thanks again for joining us this morning. And I don't know if Jennifer's going to come back online, but if not, I'll just say goodbye on behalf of myself, Todd Scott from Minnesota Lawyers Mutual, and speaking on behalf of the MSBA. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Todd. We really appreciate it. This was a fantastic program. The questions in the chat box were amazing. So hopefully everyone got a lot of great content out of it. Again, thanks to Todd. Thanks to our sponsors for Sponsor Week. And we will see you all later. Take care. Bye.